Well, welcome to Keeping It Together, another podcast with myself, Dave Burke, and Rachel, who's going to be discussing a passage in Scripture which is incredibly strange. So let me read it and then we'll talk about it together, Rachel and I. The backstory is that Jacob and Esau have been rivals. Jacob has stolen Esau's birthright and has every reason to fear his older brother. And now he's on the way back to meet Esau again. And he sends his family, his herds ahead, saying, I will pacify him with these gifts I'm sending on ahead. Later when I see him, perhaps he'll receive me. So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. So this is Genesis chapter 32, verse 22. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he'd sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, Let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. The man asked him, What is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you've struggled with God and with men and have overcome. Jacob said, Please, tell me your name. But he replied, Why do you ask my name? And then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, It is because I saw God's face to face, and yet my life was spared. The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. Tell us what's going on, Rachel.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because you have Jacob, who is this deceiver. You know, he is, his life has been full of trickery and deceit.
He's as slippery as an eel.
He absolutely is. And he has caused such a rift between himself and his brother Esau, so much that he's actually very fearful for his life. Yeah. He knows that Esau's coming, and he knows he's coming with 400 men. And his response is, I'm terrified of this.
And Esau's a man who could tear him apart with his bare hands.
Yeah, that's the description we get.
Probably will.
Isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And probably has every right to,
yes.
With everything that's kind of gone on between them. So we actually meet Jacob as a terrified man.
Yes.
And terrified men are incredibly dangerous. Mm-hmm. And you sort of see that in the way that Jacob responds. You see him sending everybody else ahead of him.
It's hilarious if it wasn't sad.
Oh gosh, it is. It's awful. You know, he thinks my life is in danger, so I'll see if I can put everyone else ahead of me. Yeah. And he's sort of saying, let's appease him. Let's see if we can kind of butter him up a little bit. Yes. But really, it's in self-preservation mode.
So you lot go on ahead, take some nice presents for Esau.
Yeah.
Try and put him in a good mood. I'll just stay here and do some admin.
Absolutely. But you know, I find this fascinating. Jacob finds himself alone.
Mm.
And he's not alone because something's happened. He's alone on his own accord. He's made himself lonely.
Yes.
He's put himself in this spot where he is all alone. And this strange interaction kind of takes place.
He's not alone, is he?
He's not alone. Are we ever really alone? But I think often when we're feeling alone, we can kind of blame all the external things. We can blame whatever we want. But often we've we've put ourselves in that position.
I've quite often been in remote, lonely places on my own, but have felt that I'm not alone, that God is there. And that's a lovely feeling, but this isn't a lovely.
This isn't that.
It's
No.
the opposite.
No. This is a depth of despair, lonely.
Yeah.
This is I'm probably going to die tomorrow, lonely.
And everything I've schemed for, embezzled for, twisted for, is about to be lost.
It's all about to implode.
Yeah.
And he's about to lose everything. It's essentially the thing that's going on here.
So this man comes and wrestles with Jacob.
Yeah.
And it's a wrestling match that goes on all night till daybreak.
It's a long battle. It's a long wrestling. And something happens that changes him. But you don't, it's not an instant thing. You're right. It's a battle that lasts all night into the morning. And he is not letting up. You'd sort of think that if you were wrestling with someone who later reveals himself as God, essentially, you've wrestled with God, that you would not really stand a chance. But there's something in Jacob, there's a fire in him. And this man acknowledges it. Jacob's come toe to toe.
Yeah.
And has met him. And Jacob's not letting things go easily.
Yeah.
He is really wanting to get to the bottom of this. He's wanting to get out of this. And he doesn't give up, Jacob. And that actually seems to be something that God admires about him. It seems to be something that God feels he can bless.
Yes. Just a quick interjection there, because I read in a long time ago in a book by Eugene Peterson an explanation of bless, which just picks up that word admired that you just used. That what does it mean to bless God? It means to express your admiration of him, your adoration of him, your approval of him. When God blesses us, he's sometimes doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
Blesses the peacemakers. That's a good thing.
I admire that in you.
I admire that in you. So there's something God admires in Jacob.
I find it funny that we're almost surprised at that, though, because we're made in the image of God. If you go right back to our original design, there's something about who we are that, of course, God admires.
Yes.
Because we reflect something of the nature of who God is. And I think, what if we really started to look at people as if they really were made in the image of God? How would that shift our perspective and our the way that we think about people if we start looking? What if we started to look for those things that God blesses in others?
I sometimes think of our relationship with other heavenly beings as being one that admiration is involved, because, you get somebody who's lived in perfection all their lives and has amazing powers and amazing presence, who sits on a sofa next to us and says, "You lived where? You did what?
Yeah.
How on earth did you manage that?"
Yeah.
I lived in Hendon and I had a Bible study with 2 people in my neighborhood. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
And we think it's not.
Yeah.
But in cosmic terms, it is.
Yeah.
And I think Jesus says as much. If you give a cup of water to someone, you will not miss your reward. Yeah. He admires way less than we think.
Yeah.
And we are more valuable and more admirable than we think.
Absolutely. So there's something in Jacob that this man is able to admire, to respect enough to bless.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, not only is Jacob blessed, but he's changed. And he's changed in a couple of ways. he is physically changed. So something physical happens to him, and actually he ends up walking with a limp. So he suffers some kind of disability or impairment that lives with him.
Yes. So that his hip joint is, don't know quite what, but it's not
Something
working
happens,
properly,
yeah.
and he's limping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second thing that is changed is his name. And so you have this shift from the name Jacob, which means deceiver,
Right.
deceitful one.
Con man.
Con man. It means con man.
Yeah.
So something is going to shift from him being a con man to being something else. And the name Israel means one who strives, prevails with God.
Yes.
So his name is shifting. And obviously names had such significant meaning because they were about identity, weren't they? And we've just talked about identity. We're made in the image of God. So this man is calling out the very thing that he admires about Jacob.
Yeah.
He's saying, you're striving. You don't give up.
But hang on a bit. I mean, one of the names of God in the Old Testament is God the healer, Yahweh the healer. And he's doing the opposite here.
Yeah.
He's unhealing someone.
Yeah.
And that sort of goes against the grain, doesn't it? You know, you imagine God is the one here's a problem, I'm praying about it, and bingo.
I'm healed.
The Bible says you're healed. New Testament says you should be healed. So what's going on here?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that through this, we begin to see something shift in Jacob to Israel. So we begin to see Israel being different. But this physical disability, this thing that's going to hinder the way he walks, is going to be a constant witness to him that battle was real.
Yes.
It's a constant reminder to him and a witness that this happened and you're different because of it.
Yes.
And I think many of us can relate to that, actually. You know, you might have gone through something, whether it be physical or mental. You've gone through something painful or traumatic. You've wrestled with God. You have those reminders that happened. You have reminders that it's real. And although maybe they're painful, they remind you also of the truth that you discovered during that battle, during that wrestling time.
Yeah. I'm getting a sort of deja vu with this because this reminds me of something in one of Paul's letters, 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, I think it is, where Paul talks about a problem, I guess a physical problem. He calls it a thorn in the flesh. He asks God to take it away repeatedly. And God says to him, no. He doesn't take this issue away. And he says, my strength is made perfect in weakness. And Paul's big problem in 2 Corinthians is a group of people called the super apostles, who are highly polished, highly educated, very persuasive. And he's terrified they're going to take the church down some kind of cul-de-sac. Yeah. And Paul learns that the answer is not to be like the super apostles, but to minister to others in weakness, leaning heavily on God.
To walk with our limps.
To walk with a limp.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think something that happens here is that Jacob is having to face God before he faces Esau. He has to wrestle with God and figure this thing out before he faces Esau. And very interestingly, when he does face Esau, it looks a little different. Do you want to jump ahead? Shall we have a little look?
Well, Jacob looked up and there's Esau with his 400 men. So it's looking
a little bleak. We sort of ended on a little cliffhanger there.
And Jacob goes ahead this time. And we were talking about this earlier, and you get this fabulous picture, don't you, of Jacob pushing everybody up front, give him some gifts.
Yeah.
But now he is this limping man leading, heading for 400 big, hairy fellas.
Yeah.
And Then Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms about his neck and kissed him, and they wept.
Yeah. I think that is just a beautiful picture. You have this man, Jacob, who is cowardly, and he's sending everybody ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has this wrestling moment, and he is changed. His name is changed, and his body is changed. He is different.
Yes.
And then as a result, you see him responding very differently. You see him putting himself ahead.
Yes.
Limping ahead.
You can say with Jacob and with Paul, actually, that whatever the disability was, it was essential so that they could become the people they needed to become. But also it was essential so that they could do the ministry God had called them to do. And with mental health and physical health, that's something we need to get our heads around.
Yeah, of course it is.
Even if getting my head around that involves me wrestling with God.
Yeah. I think it's interesting as well. We often think when we're in a wrestling season with God, when we're struggling with something, first of all, it can feel incredibly lonely. We can feel like we're on our own in that moment. And maybe rightly so. I think of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He wasn't, holding hands with all of his disciples, standing around or being prayed for. He was on his own, and he was wrestling with what was about to happen to him. He was aggrieved. He was anxious. He was stressed. He was in despair. And I think that there's an example there for us. We are invited into this wrestling with God. But the other thing is that in that wrestling, it can feel like God's very far away. We can almost be invited into wrestling with God and feel like, oh, well, I'm just going to give up then.
Yes.
I'm giving up. I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to follow God anymore. I can't do this. He's not even there. He's not listening to me.
I come across this a lot because I've had friends who've suffered terribly for one reason or another. And they've said, right, I'm not going to believe anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm walking, and they've walked away.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, actually.
Yeah.
I can understand people doing that. A slightly different response is to say, no, I'm going to confront God about this. So here I am. My best friend has just died. You owe me an apology.
Yeah.
You owe her family an apology.
Yeah.
And while you're on it, you owe the human race an apology for the mess you've allowed.
Yeah. How have you allowed this? Yeah.
Now, I've just used language that some people might find blasphemous. That's wrestling.
Yeah.
And at that moment, maybe you even believe more than you ever did before, because you're going to take God on different terms, which we're not used to.
Yeah.
They're not submissive terms. You're actually trying to get him in a headlock.
Trying to go toe to toe with God.
Yeah. And if this story means anything at all, this had a profound effect on the life of a man who has changed completely. And that can happen to us.
Yeah, it can.
But it comes through rawness and honesty and even getting aggressive.
Yeah. Well, wrestling isn't a tidy thing.
It's not.
It isn't. There's not a lot of etiquette, you know. And I think what you're saying is, it is about getting messy and allowing yourself to go there. But the other thing that I'd say about wrestling is that it's not a distanced experience. When you're wrestling with someone, you're not at arm's length. You know,
You're holding them close.
You're holding them close. Your shoulders, you're chest to chest.
Yeah.
You're entangled in one another's bodies. You are wrestling one another. And I think we can often feel like when we're wrestling with God, we're distanced from him. We're far from him. We've got all these questions and we're so unsure and we're uncertain and we're angry. And that's surely going to create space between us. Yes. But actually, when you're wrestling with God, that does the opposite. It actually draws us closer together. And I think there's something in that this happened to Jacob. The closeness that happened there completely transformed him. And if we can lean into that wrestling, we will experience intimacy with God far greater than we've ever experienced before.
Most of the stuff I've read on this over the years has been very pietistic. We're wrestling in prayer, which means we pray for a bit longer and go a bit more passionate. This is actually much, much more violent than that.
Yeah.
And much more real than that. It's almost as though we're talking to God as though he actually was a father that we got a bit of a problem with at the minute. And there's lots of implications. I think there are lots of friends of mine who would object to what I've just said, but raw, real, and bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what results? What's the fruit of that? Because that's what's important. We wrestle, but there's an end of that. There's an end point to that wrestling.
Yeah.
And what that results in is our transformed lives.
Yes.
And if we are followers of Jesus, we're leading people in his ways, we want to be transformed.
We can't do it unless we are.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That was helpful.
That's great. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.